everyone. So today we're going to do a full face video of using Kleancolor cosmetics. So this is a really inexpensive makeup brand, and I used to buy a ton of stuff from them way back in the day, and I kind of forgot about them, and I wanted to like see what have they been doing for the past, like, I don't know, 5 years since I've tried any of their stuff. So I picked out a full face worth of makeup to try and share with you guys, and the coolest thing is that they are so affordable. Nothing in this haul is over $6, and that was just the eyeshadow palette that I picked out. So if I was to take the eyeshadow palette out, everything else for my face, nothing was over $3. And I want to share with you guys how I apply these products and how they work, and let you know what's worth trying and what's worth skipping. So if you're interested in seeing what I think about some of this Kleancolor makeup, then please keep watching. Okay, I have so many things I want to try out, I don't even know where to begin. So we're gonna just start with the serum primer. This one comes in a little dropper bottle, which I feel like is so trendy, but sometimes there are makeup products that don't make sense to have in a dropper bottle, but we'll see how this one is. So it seems to be a little bit more of like, oh yeah, like a thicker kind of texture, kind of like, I don't know, a little bit syrupy. Okay, I'm gonna take just a couple drops onto my hand, and I'm going to apply this to my face. Just from what it looks like it's supposed to be like the, was it from NYX, like the Honey Do Me primer, I guess? I don't know, that's just kind of what it looks like it's trying to copy. So when I first applied it, I thought it was gonna have more of an oily texture, but it really doesn't. It kind of like sinks right into the skin. It has like a tiny bit of like a little tacky texture to it. It definitely does have a little bit of a, almost like a rose scent to it. I thought it would kind of have a little bit more of like a honey kind of scent. Maybe I'm just comparing it to the NYX one. I've never tried that one, but I have seen it. But it actually comes out of the packaging nicely, so I actually kind of like that so far. And this one was $2.50, so I really actually like the size of this. I think it's so cute and adorable, and it's 16 milliliters or 0.54 fluid ounces. Okay, that actually like really sunk into the skin and dried really quickly. I was actually kind of surprised for that. So we're gonna move on to the next like primer product. This is more of an illuminating primer. This is called the Selfie Perfect Foundation Primer. It looks like this. And this one is $2. This one is 30 milliliters or 1.1 fluid ounces, so twice the size of the last one, and it's 50 cents cheaper. So let's see what this one's like. It's definitely more like liquidy and thin. So I'm just gonna take that, I'm gonna apply it in between my hands. I'm gonna just start by applying it to one side just to kind of see if we really see any illuminating difference. It's very thin in texture. It almost feels like a really liquidy lotion, so it doesn't have like a really thick or pore filling type of texture to it, but I definitely think it did give my skin just a little bit of glow compared to this side. Now this one, I feel like, you know, it has a little bit of glow on its own too from the other one, but this one gave just the tiniest bit more of that very slight glow. This is not one of those super intense illuminating primers or anything, so if you're wanting like a really intense one to put underneath your foundation, I feel like this one is a lot more on the subtle side. And again, this one also has more of that kind of like rose or kind of like a florally kind of scent to it. I'm not a huge fan of like floral scented things. It's just, I don't know, it's just not my thing, but it's nothing super off-putting. But I do kind of smell this one even after I have applied it, so just something to be aware of. Okay, now for my foundation, I have a couple different options of things to try. So first I have a foundation. This one is called the Forever and a Day Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. So I got mine in the color Nude. This was $2.50, so I want to see what the texture of this one's like. Ooh, it's definitely a bit on the thicker side, definitely a lot more creamy and thick. And then I also had some foundation pigment drops that I wanted to try. These were $2.50 a piece, and I got two different colors of them. They're just called the Pigment Boss Drop Foundation. So the first one I got is called Porcelain Doll, and then the second one I got is called Rose Ivory. If I compare the two, Porcelain Doll is just a tiny bit lighter. I think maybe you can see just a tiny bit. So these again are in that dropper bottle foundation format. So I'm gonna shake these up and just kind of see what these are like. Oh, okay. You know how I was saying when some companies put makeup in these dropper formats that don't need to? This I would say, oh my god. I was expecting this to be liquidy, like drops. This is like really thick. Definitely not a drop at all. That is like a cream. I don't know how I'm gonna get these products out of here. The bottom one is Porcelain Doll and the top one is Rose Ivory. Definitely a little bit different colors. And then here is the foundation color. If I show you that. Okay, I definitely will not be able to try all 3 of these foundation products right now just because I only have one face, and there are other products I was wanting to show as well. So I got 2 of these mixing mediums for your foundation to adjust the colors. So I got a white one and a blue one. So let me see how much these were. These were $2.50 a piece, and they are 18 milliliters or 0.61 fluid ounces, which I think would be really perfect size because you're not going to go through a whole lot of this. It's just a tiny bit that you need to adjust your foundation color. So I got the blue one to cool down any foundations that are too warm. I definitely want to revisit these and do another, like, maybe more in-depth video on this one, but the white one I thought would be super helpful, especially since this one is a little bit more warm and darker than my skin. I think I'm gonna try to mix it in. I'm gonna do just like one little dab of the white, about that much, and I'm gonna try one little dab of the blue. Now I did test the blue. The blue is actually insanely pigmented, so I think that these might be like really intense. That's how much I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna mix it all in with this foundation color here and just kind of see how it will change the color. I think I can probably go for just a hair more of that blue. I'm kind of like just gonna put it off to the side because if you use too much of this, you will give your foundation like a green cast. So I'm picking up just the tiniest bit, and that definitely helped at making this a little bit more neutral and not as warm or yellow toned. So I'm just gonna apply this to the skin, and oh yeah, that looks really, really good. Okay, and I'm just gonna blend it in with my sponge and see how this applies. So the foundation is definitely a lot more on that creamier side. It's definitely not as liquidy as I'm used to using, but I do think it gives you a lot more coverage that way, rather than having like a super liquidy one. I feel like I should have mixed up a little bit more foundation though, because I feel like with cream foundations, I typically have to use a little bit more of them just to get it to spread evenly across my skin. But so far so good. I mean, that looks pretty good. And it does have a soft, like powdery scent to it, which doesn't bother me too much. But if you are someone who does not like fragranced beauty products, you might want to stay away from this one because it definitely has like that powdery sweet kind of scent. Okay, I'm actually kind of surprised with the foundation. Like I said, I didn't have too much like high hopes for this one just because, I don't know, it was a little bit thicker than what I was expecting, but I actually kind of like this. It looks really nice on the skin. It doesn't have like a super thick feeling. It's definitely thicker than like a liquid foundation, but I feel like the coverage of it looks pretty good, and those little shade adjuster colors really actually did a good job at helping me make that color look a little bit closer to my skin tone. I feel like, I don't know, I actually kind of like that. Okay, next I have a concealer. It's a 2-in-1. It has like that hydrating core stick side on one with that little core in the middle, and then there is a liquid side on here. Now this is a lot darker than I was expecting. Like there is no way I can use that as a concealer. I feel like this is way too dark. This is in the color Rosy Beige. I just don't know if that's gonna work for me. And this was $2, so I'm gonna like swatch a little bit. Okay, this definitely is giving me a lot thicker, kind of chunkier vibes than what I typically use for concealer. And the liquid concealer is definitely a lot more orangey compared to the stick side, but man, that stick side is thick. I feel like this might be a little bit of a regret, but I'm going to try this out, and I'm gonna do just a little bit here and a little bit on here and kind of blend that in. Since the stick one is a little bit more pinky, I feel like that's gonna help kind of counteract any darkness under my eyes, but I am not really a fan of stick concealers. I just feel like they look very dry and cakey under my eyes, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this one. As far as the coverage of that one, I feel like it really didn't give me that much coverage. I feel like that works a little bit better for the skin, but again, I'm not loving this product. Okay, the next product I have is a bronzer, and this is so cute. I actually really like the packaging of this. It does kind of remind me a little bit of like the Fenty with the whole like, you know, hexagon, octagon kind of shape to it, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of cute. This is called the Tan Out of Tan. This was $2.50, and this is a large pan, and it's matte. I love matte bronzer, so I'm just gonna take some of that. Ooh, very powdery. I don't know if you can see, but like that really kicked up a ton of fallout there, so I'm just gonna kind of tap my brush off because That was a lot more than I was expecting. Ooh, and it's definitely pigmented. Okay, this is definitely more of a warm, bronzery kind of color. So I'm gonna really have to blend this in, but it's definitely really pigmented. This is probably something I would have to like really use sparingly just because it is a little bit warm. Okay, so that's how it looks with the bronzer. Now I actually say I do like the bronzer. It's just a little bit warmer than what I'm used to using. Oh, there is a name. It's Bora Bora Honeymoon. Now that might be the lightest one. I wish they had one that was a little bit more cool toned. Now that I thinking about it, they might have had like 4 different colors. But I don't know, for like $2.50, like it's actually a pretty good one. I like that it's matte and it definitely warmed up my skin. So I don't know, for being $2.50, I feel like this is actually pretty good. The only thing is it really does have a lot of fallout when you tap your brush into it. So just be very, very careful. Okay, and next is a blush I have talked about many, many times over. And this is the Kleancolor Miss Chick Universally Flattering Flush Blush. So I love this blush. It's very intense though. You have to be very careful. This one was $1 and I got the color Rose. I believe I've had this color before, but I can't remember. But this blush lasted me forever. Again, it's a little bit on that like powdery side, but it's so pigmented. You just need to very, very carefully pick up a tiny bit and blend it in. Like I just barely touched that and I got a lot of like pretty blush color here. So it's just one of those you really want to be careful with and go light-handed. Okay, and next I have a highlighter. This is just called their Baked Highlighter. This one is in the color Cream. It's so pretty and I don't know, I feel like you can't go wrong with this type of highlighter. Yep, so that it's really pretty. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, some people get really snobby about highlighters, but I feel like sometimes like really cheap highlighters just work so good and they look pretty. So this one's definitely one that I feel like it really shows up and gives you that really like icy shiny look. I believe they had quite a few different colors of this one as well, so if there's like a color tone you're more drawn to, I feel like they have like a pinkier one, a goldier one, some deeper ones, more of like champagne-y kind of ones. So there's definitely a whole bunch of ones you could choose for what color tone you like for a highlighter, but I feel like you can't go wrong with this one at all, and this one was $2. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and set my face. So this was $1.50. This one is called the Pro Sealer Makeup Setting Spray, and it's in the color Pot of Gold. I don't know if this is gonna have shimmer to it or what. I would imagine it's a luminous finish. Ooh, that is really, really forceful. Again, has super strong rose scent. Oh my god. Whew, yeah, very, very strong, like rose scent. Okay, it says to hold 8 to 10 inches away. Like I had to hold this like an entire arm's length away. Okay, I do have to say I don't really see any like super obvious like shimmer particles, but it might have given a little bit of like a glow to the skin, but I don't know about that one. That one was just way too forceful. Like I felt like I was spraying myself with like Windex, like that's how strong those droplets were. But now we're gonna move on to eyes, so I'm gonna zoom you in and share with you guys the next few products I have. Okay, so now I have a shadow primer. This is just called the Shadow Prep Eyeshadow Primer. It was $2 and I don't see a color on here. It's definitely a bit more of a thicker one than like a waterier one. I know that like Too Faced, theirs is a little bit more of kind of like watery, but this one, once I blend it in, it almost has like a clear finish to it. It doesn't seem to have any added like color pigment, and it has a very smooth, like velvety feeling on my eye. Like it almost feels like one of those like blur priming type of like face primers almost, but for your eye. Okay, and this is the eyeshadow palette I'm going to be using. It's called the Leaves Jingle, and this one is in the color Lemon Lake, and the actual shadows are kind of small. So this is what the inside of the palette looks like. I kind of wanted to go for this one just because I thought the colors looked different. I'm really kind of eyeing these green colors here, so I don't even know what we're going to end up with, but you do get a good mix of matte and shimmer colors. That is the most expensive thing I picked out from this entire haul. I'm going to start with this one that seems to be, I feel like those other two wouldn't show up in my crease at all, so I'm just gonna dip my brush into that. It's a little bit powdery, but let's see if it's pigmented or not. I'm just gonna start by applying that to the crease. It's hard to tell if it's the pigmentation or if it's just the color is so close to my skin color, but it's not showing up super well. I mean, I can see that I'm definitely doing something. Okay, that color really didn't show up that much, but we're gonna skip on to the next one. So right next door to that one is this one. That is the Darkest Matte. So I feel like I'm gonna just start with that brown color first to kind of build up more of that crease color, because like I said, that really did not do much. So I switched to a different brush just to kind of see how that one will pick it up. It's definitely a very soft pigmentation. It's not as dark as I would have expected, but it is showing up. and it's blending relatively easy. Okay, now I'm gonna take a smaller, more precise crease blending brush because I want to use this color here. I feel like that is such a pretty green color and we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna carefully pick some of that up. It definitely is a little bit more on the powdery side. And I'm gonna put that in the crease and start it on this outer corner and blend that inward. Okay, it is kind of blending down a lot sheerer. So I'm gonna try to keep packing that color on just to bring more of that vibrancy back while still focusing on blending the color together. Yeah, the more I blend, the more of the color just kind of seems to disappear. Like you can see the color there, but it's not as strong. But I feel like this starts to blend away and really turns very muddy easily. Like I feel like that side looks so much more muddy. Yeah, and the color is just very patchy. I feel like I can't get it to stick like super evenly. Like I can get it on there, but the second I try to start moving it around, it just gets a little bit patchy. Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit more of that matte green color. I'm gonna take it on the pencil brush and run it on the lower lash line and bring that inward. Okay, next I'm going to use this color here, that green shimmer color. It looks so pretty. I'm gonna keep my hopes down because I'm not quite sure how it's going to perform, but I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed that it will look really pretty. It does look like it's gonna have some fallout though, but I'm gonna put that on the center of my lid and blend that inward. It's such a pretty color. It just, yeah, it does have a little bit of fallout. I'm really focusing on like pushing this into my skin and really buffing it in because I feel like that will give it a better chance at having more of that shine. I'm gonna try using my finger. I feel like that might be a good move for this type of shadow. Oh yeah, look at the difference that made. That made such a big difference. It's definitely a little bit more of a crumbly shadow whenever I picked it up with my brush. Okay, definitely made a little bit of mess under the face. We'll have to clean that up afterwards. Okay, I want to take a little bit of this color here. It is like a champagne shimmer. I'm gonna pick that up and focus that more on the inner corner just to bring a little bit more light to that area. Okay, I feel like the eyeshadow look is pretty, like the colors are pretty, but it was just so much work to try to get these colors to work for me. And I feel like I still can't get this like matte green color to really show up as like true as I want it to. It just seems like the more I add, it just kind of really fades away. Okay, so I'm gonna call that it for the eyeshadow. I don't know how this is gonna wear or what it's gonna look like at the end of the night. I don't have the highest expectations for it, but I will do an eyeliner. This is called the Magic Hour Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner. This was $3. Oh, and I just opened it. I don't know if you can see, but it is bubbling. That's not a good sign. It is a felt tip, which is not my favorite. I typically prefer like brush tip ones, but whew, this one is making a mess. It kind of leaked. Apply this. Like I said, typically I like brush eyeliners, but I used to use like felt ones for years. It's definitely a very liquidy one, but it did go on pretty smooth and matte. The only thing is I'm worried about it bleeding. So I'm just going to fan this right now because I'm afraid that it's going to kind of bleed all over the place or into fine lines. So I'm just gonna kind of give it its best shot. Okay, so it is matting down pretty good. It does have a little bit of like a slight sheen to it. I wanna see if it will go completely matte or if it will stay that like very slightly kind of like glossy look, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye. Oh, and I have gotten it all over my hands. Definitely getting some points against it when it's already got my hands looking like this. Okay, and now I'm going to do the wing. Oh, it already kind of smeared just a little bit. I moved my eyelid just the tiniest bit and it smeared. Okay, so that is how the eyeliner looks. Overall, I feel like it definitely worked. The only thing is it's just got a little bit smudgy on spots because it was so wet and liquidy. Of course, that could be just because it's like brand new and it's like very, very wet, but I would definitely have to say like how messy this one was a little bit messier than what I would typically like to deal with. I was looking at their mascara options and I could just tell 100% there was absolutely none of those mascaras that I would like and even want to try or waste $1 on. So that's the only thing I really didn't get was mascara. So I'm just going to curl and apply my own mascara and come back with the next product. Okay, so this is how it looks with the eyes completely done. Just did a little bit of mascara and now we're gonna move on to brows. So I have two different eyebrow products to try out. So the first one I have is called the Precision Brow Pencil. This is just one of those teeny tiny ones. It has a little spoolie on the end. Go ahead and use that. Just kind of brush the hairs up, all going in the same direction. And then the second one that I got is called the Brow Brilliant Brow Cream with Brush. And this one is in the color Warm Brown. The Brilliant Brow is $2 and the pencil one is $1.50. So I'm gonna start off with the little pencil one. And this is like tiny. This might be the tiniest like pencil I have ever seen. It's completely circle. It's not like one of those ovally kind of ones that I've seen before. But I'm just gonna start by kind of like drawing little brush strokes and seeing kind of how fine I can get. I don't typically do my brows where I do these like really teeny tiny kind of like individual brush strokes, but I kind of want to try it out. So I'm just kind of creating like really teeny tiny strokes. And it doesn't feel super dry, which I'm very, very impressed with, because I feel like typically these like super inexpensive brow products are like just notoriously dry. Okay, so that's how it looks with just the brow pencil. I actually kind of like that. I kind of want to see though how much actual eyebrow product in there. Okay, there is this much eyebrow product. That is such a tiny, tiny amount of product. Now it was only $1.50, and of course I feel like you have to be so careful because you could easily just snap this entire thing off and you know it's all gone. I actually do kind of like that though. So now I'm gonna try the other one. So this one has a little brush on the side. It's just kind of like a little angled brush, and then if you take the bottom cap off, there is the cream product in there. I definitely had a couple products like this before and tested it out, but ooh, this one's actually very creamy. It's not dry. Again, that's really good. And I'm just gonna fill this in and see how this one looks. Okay, definitely color wise it's a bit darker, and that cream is actually really pigmented. This one I feel like would be really good if you like more of a like blocky brow, or you know, just like a really like filled in kind of brow. Okay, I actually kind of like that one too. I like both. Sometimes I'll go into phases where I'll just use the pencils, and then sometimes I'll just use the creams. Okay, so that is how the brow looks with the cream. This is how it looks with the pencil. I feel like the side's a little bit softer and more feathery. This one's definitely a little bit more, you know, defined. Okay, so those are the brows. I actually really like it. I feel like the color is just a little bit warmer with my gray hair right now, but what else is new? I always have mixed match brows because I never want to dye my eyebrows like gray. But then everything seems to just be like crazy warm in comparison, even though it's not like super warm. Okay, so I'm gonna sharpen that. I'm using my Urban Decay Grindhouse sharpener and just gonna see what it does. Huh, okay, so yeah, you can sharpen this. That's so weird to me. I don't know, it looks like plastic, but yeah, you can totally sharpen it. So, okay, so this color is super light. I probably should have picked a darker one. I'm gonna sharpen it just a little bit more. Yeah, it's just so light, it's not really defining my lips very much, just because my lips are a little bit darker than this. But it is very like smooth and creamy without being so creamy that it feels like it's gonna slide around. It has a good mix between creaminess and a little bit of waxiness. I would not want to wear this on its own though, because it does have a little bit more of that like kind of tackiness to it. So the last thing I'm going to use is a lip stick from Kleancolor. This one I've had for a while. This is called French Garden. It looks like this. I got this from some random website, I can't remember, but it's kind of like a nude kind of color. I do have to say I'm not a huge fan of their lipsticks though. I mean, if you see a few colors that like look really cute and you know you want to try them, because a lot of them are like $1 or $2, but I don't love their lipsticks. I find them to be very dry and a little bit on the chalky side. Oh yeah, I forgot I hated this one. Oh, okay, yeah, this lipstick is terrible. I forgot how much I don't like this lipstick. And my dry, crusty lips are not helping this at all. Okay, this looks terrible. Let me get another lipstick to at least make this look doable. Okay, I just mixed like 10 different things on my lips to like make this look a little bit better. My lips are extremely dry right now, so that's also not helping a whole lot, but this lipstick, no. I would just say don't get their lipsticks. I mean, I'm sure they have a few that are great, but I don't love their lipsticks. But I'm actually really surprised at how some of the other things worked. So I'm just gonna go through and rank the products, ones I would recommend and ones I would not recommend, because I definitely have some strong feelings about a few of these, and a lot of them are just kind of like, oh yeah, it's good for the price. But there are definitely a couple products in here that I would really recommend, and definitely a few that I would say steer clear of. Okay, so starting off, I am going to start with the products that I felt very meh about. I could leave it, I could take it. Most of these are things that I feel like I would just say it's good for the price, but there's better stuff out there. But if you're really just looking for a decent product that will work and will do what you want it to do, and it's really inexpensive, these are the products I would recommend. Okay, so first I will give it to the foundation. Overall, I actually kind of like this foundation. I feel like it looks really good on my skin. I would never repurchase this foundation, but I feel like it actually, I don't know, my skin looks really good. The only thing is I can feel this on my skin. It did kind of dry down a little bit more, but it overall does have that very slight kind of like cream feeling on my face. But I actually kind of like this, and for like $2.50 and you're really in a pinch, I feel like, I don't know, it's a good one to try out. So this is the bronzer here. I don't know, it worked, it did good. The next one that's kind of a middle ground is the foundation primer. This one, overall I did like it, but I don't feel like, if you are wanting something illuminating, this one at least just isn't as illuminating as I would particularly go for, but it is nice. It did blur out my skin just a little bit and added a little bit of that glow, but it's nothing like that unique that I feel like, oh, you have to get that. Same with the eyeshadow primer. Again, it's just a little bit of a different texture. I'll have to see, you know, did it really make much of a difference at how the eyeshadow stays? And then finally, my last meh product is the eyeliner. I feel like this one could be good. It just really depends on how it wears and how messy it was. Like it's pretty messy all over my hands still, and it was bubbling when I first opened it. It was a little bit hard. I had to really baby it and like make sure my eyeliner was really drying before I like moved my eyes or anything. Now I'm gonna move on to the products that I absolutely did not really care for. First one, I have to say, I did not care for this concealer at all. The color tone of this is just completely off for me. I don't like stick concealers either. It felt very thick and heavy on my skin. It disrupted the foundation. If I would have left it on its own, I feel like it would have creased a bit. So this one I would totally just like don't waste your time on. My next don't waste your time product has to be the Pro Sealer Makeup Setting Spray. This was just very uncomfortable using. Like when I spritzed my face, it was like just a stream right at my face. And yeah, you'd have to hold this away like complete arm's length to get it fine enough to, you know, not leave little droplets on your skin. I really didn't even notice that much of like a shimmer to it, which is kind of the whole point of this like illuminating spray. And then of course the scent of it was just so strong of a rose, and I just don't love rose. I mean, if you love rose and you're about it all day every day, maybe you'll like this, but I wouldn't even waste my $2 on this. Okay, the next two products that I have to say don't waste your time on, and it really kind of bums me out because I was most excited about these products, and it's the Pigment Bosses. And the reason why I would say don't waste your time on this is because how are you even supposed to get this out of here? Like it's literally like, I wish you could see in person. It's like a thick cream that they put in a dropper bottle that makes absolutely no sense. They had a ton of color options to choose from, which I was really excited about, but you would expect this to be a liquidy, like water-like texture, like the Cover FX mixing drops. Like obviously that's what this is like meant to be, and the texture is so completely wrong for this type of packaging. It just really made absolutely no sense. I don't know how I will use these because I don't know how I will get the product out of here. So these were just a complete don't waste your time, which really kind of hurts me because I was really excited about those. Unfortunately is the palette. I was kind of, you know, wanting to see, you know, if it was going to be good eyeshadow palette or anything. Overall, at least for this particular palette, I haven't tried any of their other eyeshadows, so I can't really say one way or another if those are better or worse. But for this one, I just felt like the packaging of it's kind of bulky for like how much makeup you're actually getting in here. And then the colors, although these greens really spoke to me, it just, I don't know, the colors, I had to work so hard to get my eyes to look like this. And I feel like the finished product looks pretty, but the amount of work and time it took me to blend these colors to get it to look like this, I feel like I could have done in half the time with some other eyeshadows. Just wasn't worth it. You can get so many things that are exponentially better for just a couple bucks more. Okay, and then moving on to the stuff that I actually really enjoyed. First two, I do like these lip liners. The only thing is the color of this one that I tried was just a little bit too light, that it didn't show up on my skin, but I like the texture of it because it had a really good like creamy to waxiness kind of, you know, in between that it was gonna stay on my lips, but I do want to try other colors, and I don't know why, it just reminds me of NYX. It looks really cute and I like the packaging of it. $1.50. For $1.50, yeah, I would totally buy more of these. I liked this highlighter. I feel like there is like like nothing that special about it, but it worked, and it was like, what, $1.50? But it does remind me a lot of like the e.l.f. ones that they had in the same type of packaging. Very, very comparable, but it's really pretty. I like it. It gave me a really nice glow. I love it. I feel like, you know, I don't need to buy a $26 highlighter when a $2 one looks just as good. So yeah, I actually really do like this one. The blush, of course, I love as well. Like I said, these are intense though. They are pigmented. You want to like baby it because it is crazy intense at the color that comes off on it, but it will last forever. But the packaging of this is very, very cheap. So be careful when you're opening and closing it, because the one that I had forever was broken, and I liked the blush so much that I kept using it. So I do like those, and again, for $1, it's a really good blush, but you do have to be very light-handed with it. Okay, next I did actually really like the serum primer. I thought it was gonna be sticky and thicker on my skin, but it actually blended in really like nicely and sunk into my skin, and I always love something with a little bit of hydration. The next two products, again, that I really did like and I thought they worked great for me was the eyebrow products. I liked these. I could totally see myself using this, and even though you get the tiniest amount of product in the actual micro pencil, it is $1.50, so it's, you know, how much are you really getting? But of course, when you think about like the people who buy those like tiny micro pencils from like Anastasia, it's like you're paying like $30 for that same amount of product. So, but I really did like this one. I feel like my brows, like, I don't know, I like it. It's a good one. And I really did like the cream one too. I feel like I go back and forth between the cream and the pencils, but I could totally see myself using this, and this was actually really pigmented. So yeah, I like that, and I like that the brush is all included. It's really, really nice. Okay, and finally, my most favorite products from this whole entire haul is the foundation shade adjusters. These are so, so handy, and I feel like they can make so many of your products more usable for you by just adjusting the color to work for you, and I think it worked really great. The only thing is this is extremely pigmented, so you only need the tiniest bit if you're using this blue color here. Don't go overboard with it, because I did do like a little test swatch of it with some other foundation, and it literally turned my foundation green. So I don't know, it could be cool if you want that for like an artistic purpose, but these are so handy, and I feel like everybody needs to have this in their collection, because how many times have we bought foundations that were like, oh yeah, that'll work, and then you put it on and you're like, that's not my color. So I definitely like having stuff like this, because it has such a good like functional purpose at helping me use up things I wouldn't have otherwise used. And I actually kind of like these because they are so pigmented. They actually add a little bit of like extra coverage to the products as well. So I don't know, just something I really liked, and this was probably my most favorite product from everything that I have tried from this haul. So yeah, that is everything I tried from Kleancolor. I hope you guys found this video helpful, because I know they have a pretty large amount of products to choose from. It's kind of hard to know like what's good, what's bad, and some of these were actually really surprising for me. And I love that even though their price point is so much lower than other places, there are definitely a lot of hit and misses, but they've got some really good products too, and it's definitely kind of like a little diamond in the rough, and it's nice to find something like that. So there's definitely a few products in here that I will totally be continuing to use, and it's just really fun to try out new things and test out all the bad stuff so you guys don't have to. Even if it's only like $1 or $2 and you don't like the product, that's still $1 or $2 that you didn't have to waste. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below. Until my next video, I will talk to you guys later.